Have you ever written a letter or a note to someone that was so important you took extra time to make sure your message was clear, that they would pay attention to what you said? This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the first statement in the first book of the Bible. Of all the things that God could have started with in his message to humanity, this is the most significant. Not only does it tell us how we got here, but who got us here. I want to tell you 6 things that this verse shows us about God that are vital for our understanding of who God is. And the first 2 things that I want to focus on come from this statement in the blue and green checkered box. In the beginning, God. There are 2 things that we can draw from that statement that are very important about God. The first is that if God was there when everything began, that means that God was before all things. He is eternal. He has no beginning and he has no end. And if that is true, then the second truth follows. God is self-existent. He is uncreated and self-sustained. Because he was here before anything began to exist, that means that there was nothing that God needed to continue existing, which means, unlike some people say, God did not create us because he needed companionship or something to do. God has everything in himself that he needs. He created for a reason other than necessity. Let's look back at chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What does that statement, the heavens and the earth, mean? Well, in essence, it's talking about the universe, everything that began to exist. Time, space, matter, and everything that's made up of those 3 things. Now, we've already covered time with number 1, eternal. Let's talk about space. If God created space, that means he is outside of it, which means that God is infinite or measureless. You could spend your whole life trying to understand how big God is, and you'd fail, because God is spaceless. He doesn't take up space. He fills everything and is outside of everything as well. The third point of the universe, matter. If God created matter, that means he is outside of it, and therefore God is immaterial. He is non-physical. While we can understand some aspects of who God is by observing our physical world, we also realize that God is beyond his creation. He's greater than what he created. And part of that reality is that God is spiritual or non-physical. Let's look back at our verse one more time. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And here's our 2 final points that show us something important about God. If God was able to create an entire universe, he must be unimaginably powerful. That means he's omnipotent, all-powerful. Every bit of energy and power in the universe comes from God. He created it, and he's what keeps it going. And the last point follows also from God creating the universe. God must be unimaginably intelligent. He has all knowledge, or he is omniscient. He knows everything. These are 6 things that we can learn about God from Genesis chapter 1. Now take a moment and consider the God that you just read about. A God who is eternal, who exists inside himself with nothing that he needs. He is infinite, spaceless. He is immaterial, non-physical. He is omnipotent, all-powerful. He is omniscient, all-knowing. This is a God worthy of worship.